Starbucks has over 40,000 stores in more than 80 countries, locations inside war zones, inside airports, in the middle of deserts, but for almost 5 decades there was one country it refused to enter. And it wasn't a poor country, it wasn't an unstable one, it was the exact country that inspired the company to exist in the first place. In 1983, a Starbucks employee named Howard Schultz travels to Milan for a trade show. At the time, Starbucks isn't even the company selling coffee drinks. It's a small Seattle shop selling roasted beans and equipment. Schultz has no idea this trip is about to reshape an entire industry. He wanders into a small espresso bar near his hotel. Inside, a barista calls a regular customer by name before the man even orders. Steam hisses from the machine. People don't sit, they stand. They drink fast, they talk fast, and within minutes they're gone, back to their day. Schultz watches this ritual repeat itself, bar after bar. For the rest of his trip, he isn't just watching people drink coffee, he's watching a culture, one built on connection, routine, and craftsmanship. Almost every neighborhood has its own bar, its own regulars, its own unspoken rules about who stands where and who gets served first. Nothing about it feels like a transaction. It feels like a small ceremony repeated 100 times a day. He returns to Seattle convinced he's found something worth building an empire on. He pitches the idea to his bosses. They turn him down, so he leaves, starts his own small coffee bar of his own, modeled directly on what he saw in Milan. An Italian espresso machine shipped over from overseas, baristas trained to work fast, and years later he buys out the very business that once rejected him. That vision becomes Starbucks as the world eventually comes to know it. Oversized cups, syrups, seating, laptops, a place designed to be lingered in rather than passed through. Within decades, Starbucks expands into places no one expects. Countries with unstable governments, countries in the middle of active conflict, countries where coffee culture barely exists at all. The company doesn't hesitate. It opens inside airport terminals surrounded by military checkpoints. Inside hospitals where families wait on the worst news of their lives, inside shopping malls in cities still rebuilding from war, storefronts with the same green logo, the same menus, the same paper cups. Regardless of what's happening right outside the door, expansion becomes the company's identity, growth at almost any cost, almost anywhere. Except one, the place where the entire idea began stays untouched. For 47 years, while the rest of the world fills up with green logos, Italy stays empty. To understand why, you have to understand what Starbucks would actually be walking into. In Italy, coffee isn't a product, it's a routine passed down through generations. A shot of espresso costs about €1, sometimes less. People drink it standing up in under 2 minutes, often at the same bar, from the same barista, every single day of their lives. Some customers have visited the same bar every morning for 30 years without missing more than a handful of days. There's no oversized cup with your name spelled wrong, no sitting for hours with a laptop taking up a table meant for quick turnover, no $12 caramel drink with 6 add-ons, the entire Starbucks model. The size, the customization, the price, the pace, runs directly against everything Italians already have. For years, Starbucks avoids Italy entirely, not because the market is too small, but because it's too dangerous to get wrong. This isn't a country you expand into like any other. Word eventually gets out that Starbucks is seriously considering an Italian launch, and the backlash starts before a single store even opens.
Critics argue that the rapid expansion of Starbucks locations signals an unwelcome invasion into the local coffee market, threatening smaller establishments.
Some accuse the company of trying to sell Italians their own culture back to them. Dressed up and marked up, nobody in Italy is waiting for Starbucks. If anything, they're waiting to watch it fail. So when Starbucks finally moves, in 2016, it doesn't open a normal store. It doesn't try to compete on the street corner against a bar that's been serving the same neighborhood for 60 years. Instead, it builds something far bigger, a massive flagship roastery inside a converted historic building in Milan, once a former post office. Copper roasting tanks rising toward vaulted ceilings, a space built to look less like a coffee chain and more like a landmark tourists would travel across the city to see. It isn't positioned as competition for the corner bar, it's positioned as something else entirely, a destination. somewhere tourists seek out deliberately rather than somewhere locals swap their daily 2-minute ritual for, the experience is different enough that it never directly threatens the small bars scattered across every block of the city. When the doors finally open in September 2018, 47 years after Schultz's first trip to Milan, it isn't a battle for Italy's coffee culture, it's a quiet, careful entrance into a space that was never actually meant to challenge it. Just one location, built to be admired rather than to compete. Years later, Starbucks still has only a small handful of locations across the entire country. No drive-thrus, no neighborhood stores. Compare that to the thousands scattered across the rest of Europe. The United Kingdom alone has over 1,000 locations, and the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The company, built on a stolen glimpse of Italian coffee culture, spent 47 years too careful to actually compete with the very thing that inspired it. And even now, standing inside the country where it all began, surrounded by the same standing counters and the same 2-minute rituals that started this entire empire, Starbucks still hasn't tried to win.